Hey everybody, Life's Journey at 50 here. So we have Renee, Troutman, Maxfield, right? Did I get that right?
You got it.
Okay, I didn't want to butcher it, okay? So, folks, this is going to be a treat for today. So, we're going to have a conversation around Renee getting into motorcycles at a late stage, kind of like me.
You call me old.
I didn't say anything about being old. So, I'm old. She's not old. So, a little bit of her journey, some aspirations or people that inspire her. Also, just a little bit, she went all the way. Did you go all the way to Ushuaia? Yeah, Ushuaia. I butchered that as well. So, but you guys are on this channel, so you guys know I butcher everything. So, but she just got done doing that, but then we're going to roll out the big one. We're going to save that because she wants to start an initiative amongst us adventure riders. So, I think it's a great cause. We're going to talk about it, but first, Renee, thank you. Thank you for taking your time here. So it's funny. We meeting through mutual friends. Right?
Yes, the power of the internet.
Power of the internet, Facebook, right? Yes. All that good stuff.
Friends of friends.
Friends of friends. Yes, and you gotta love my interview setup right here. It's real funky. I got a chair here, anyways. But
we've been out riding all day.
Been riding all day. We've had a great day, by the way. And someone will be featured in the film on something, but we won't go there. So we become friends in a short period of time, and actually met just recently live for the first time in March Moto Madness, right? Yeah,
a week or so ago.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, but it's what a journey, right? Because as you and I have come to find out, you started this 4 years ago, right?
Yes, at 52 years old.
52 years old, you started this journey, right?
Yes.
So, folks, you know me, I started this journey at 53, so we share a little bit of the commonality on getting into this thing at such a late stage and trying to learn, right? I mean...
And we're not as young as once we were.
That's a true statement.
It hurts.
It does.
From time to time.
And for those that have seen my videos, you know that I kind of, do some things. So tell me how you got into it. Like, what started it?
Okay. College best friend. Hadn't seen each other for, I think, 32 years at that point. And again, the power of the internet.
Right.
Found each other again and we went rock climbing actually in West Virginia with a friend from high school. And while we were there, he said, "Hey, you want to take your truck or you want to take the bike to dinner?" And it was a no-brainer. The bike, yes, the bike. And so it was so much fun to just ride just these beautiful, valleys and stuff like that, and that feeling almost of being a kid again, and that's a really big part of this for me.
Just sucked you right in.
Yeah, and so one key thing that he said was, I'm an outdoorsy person, grew up in the woods, love snowboarding, skiing, wakeboarding, you name it.
She's a true adventurer, by the way, yes.
Love outside, but for some reason, as a woman, it never ever crossed my mind to ride a motorcycle, dirt bike, motorcycle, anything. It was
because they're obviously in general, there's always a stigma, right? Or not a stigma, but it's just one of those things where, as our generation,
yes,
this is where I call our generation versus what you have going on now.
Yes, and you can see that changing.
Right,
yes.
Right, and you see the change. There's a lot of diversity
young girls,
now.
women.
There's a lot of people, engaging in this arena now.
But it was always you sat on the back.
Right, exactly.
As a woman, you sat on the back.
Now there's a lot of I had the pleasure of meeting Jocelyn Snow, who it's kind of funny.
She's a badass.
She's the queen of ADV, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But there's so many other women riders, and you get people like Itchy Boots, who, whether you like her or don't like her, this woman is
aspirational. She opened up your mind to what in her first trip was India.
Right.
This is a country that overwhelms most everybody, and that was the first place she peeled off to go solo.
And she does this, and so I find it awesome that you've taken this leap, and so I'm sure a lot of people are like, what in the world are you doing, Renee?
So the thing that he said to me was, we'll get you on a bike. That's what he said. And it was just like this, what? You know, it just never crossed my mind. Well, by the next week I had signed up for a class in Chattanooga back home, went over and paid for it. No clue what I was doing. None. It was just
I'm here to get a bike and yeah.
Yeah, and went through the class. Vivi was her name, Yamaha Virago 250, and the cutest little cruiser kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, I was the only person in my class that failed the basic motorcycle class. No. It was mortifying. Everybody else is over there passing. We had one little thing we had to do where it was like it was time to get from here to there and stop in the box.
Oh my God.
I hit the front brake, dump it, and I fail. Everybody else is all the way across the parking lot. They made me go sit on the cooler all the way across the other side of the parking lot. And I'm sitting there watching everybody else pass. And the guys were sweet enough to give me one more chance to pass that part of it because they saw how into it I was, right. How hard I had worked that whole weekend to get the concepts and all that kind of thing, and was just hooked. I mean, it feels like being a kid again. Wow. When you used to run around on your bike,
right? Yeah,
and jump off a little ramps. Yeah,
it's the free. Like for me when I got into it, like my first big trip. Now, granted, I went into West Virginia, but my very first big trip, I went all the way out to the Badlands. I was in Wyoming and Montana. I mean, I just got on the bike and, like, what are you doing? Like, you know, and then, you know, people are like, aren't you bored? Like, on the like, I don't know, there's this freedom. There's this, you're seeing things that you don't normally see. And, like, to me, it's just you're taking in all this stuff around you.
Yes.
And it hooks you.
Yeah, oh, totally. And I was so, from the almost get-go, it was like, kept stretching my boundaries, and that's one of the things I want to say to any women out there is we do things differently. Guys tend to be, you know, just go at it hard, and for me it was I inched up on it constantly. I just kept stretching my boundaries day after day after day, and within a couple months I took my first overnight trip over into the Georgia mountains, 340 miles, big deal.
Dark in the rain, you know, so it was always this. You're constantly getting a hit of success. It was always, oh my God, I did that. You know, I packed my bags, and you can only take so much in your little panniers, and it was just such a thrill to do that, so that by the time that I had ridden only 800 miles, bought a bike out in Phoenix. I was living in Ohio at the time too, up in Oxford, and found a bike in Phoenix, and I'm like, I want to ride this back. I want to ride it's 2,300 miles. And I planned it out, and just worked my way through to like figure out all the things that I needed so I'd feel secure doing that. I took a route that was all by myself. It was in April. I rode the $1 Million Highway up through the mountains in April. Mountains of Colorado after only 800 miles after getting my endorsement. And once you do that, it changes your whole perception of what is possible for yourself. It just, and I did it within my comfort zone. So my range at that time was about 125 to 150 miles a day. This, 2,300 miles. It took me 16 days to do it, but I didn't care. It was like, you just kept taking those increments. You think, you've got to just go out there and do something.
All right, so you did that many miles. How many can you do now on one day?
I did out in Montana off-road 300 miles in a day, and that's off-road, so that's a whole different ballgame than on-road kind of thing. I completely agree with that. Yeah, and so I've done 300 miles in a day.
That's grinding.
It was, but it was, that was its own thrill. So
absolutely.
And so 1 year after started riding on the road, that's when I started to ride off-road.
I was wondering when did that transition happen? Because that's a big one. When I did the GSA thing, I was like, okay, Charlie and Ewan did this thing, so let me go do off-road.
I can do this.
My first one, I was in West Virginia by myself. I go down this road. Now I got Michelin Anarchy Adventures, garbage tires, and they're not even I think they're 80/20 or 70/30, but they're street.
Not too much knobby on there.
Right, exactly. Next thing I know, in the video, you literally see me. I go this way, slide right out. Busted my auxiliary light off, and my first helmet, my Arai helmet, I cracked it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the following week I went. I was supposed to, the following week I was going down to the BMW school, and I was telling them, the instructors, what had happened. They go, "Let me see your helmet." And he rips out the lining. He goes, "Dude, this helmet's garbage." He goes, "It's all spidered and all busted up on the." Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it was pretty quick.
So you got hooked.
Yeah, so we conceived a trip to do the Trans-America Trail. I'd come across that somewhere, and so...
That is boss of you. I'm serious. Like, you know, there's not a lot of not a lot of people in general that would take on doing that.
Yeah. So anybody who doesn't know, the Trans-America Trail is something conceived of by Sam Carrero. He's lovingly put this together for a quarter of a century. Stopped in and saw him on the way through.
So what was your first dirt bike, or what was
My first dirt bike wasn't a dirt bike at all. So my first bike was the Honda CRF 250L Rally, the first vehicle I've ever bought new. I didn't even have the first oil change on it, and it had bashed the plastics in. I met up with some guys at a park close to us, and they're all like, "Hey, you want to go down Haley Road?" And I'm like, "Going down this road? I have just bought this bike. Baby heads and steep. There's a creek crossing at the bottom, a rocky, you know, just unreal."
first adventure there.
Yes. And so this is, I not even 300 miles on this bike. Thank God, guys are lovely. They helped me work through it and get through it and back out and all that kind of stuff. My dear friend Todd Daniels, love the man. The first time I ever met him, and he was so great helping me pick up the bike and getting me through it.
Talks about our community.
Oh, totally.
Right.
100%.
And I've said this on other interviews that I've interviewed people. Like,
I've never met.
Like I said, I think you and I talked about this yesterday, that, you know, I find 98% of the folks just to be wonderful in this community. Yeah, you got a couple that are
very. I can't even hardly. I'm not sure I can name one.
Yeah,
just a great group of people that are always supportive, always encourage you to, you know, ride your ride, stay within, you know, your limits, help you pick up your bike when you're too tired, and so. That's a 360-pound bike, and all of a sudden I'm riding. Durham Town is a park down out of Atlanta. We're riding more and more technical things. I'm getting talked to in my headset and talked through roots and ruts and rocks and all that kind of stuff.
You were doing great today. So folks, when you see the video, and for those that know Tom Asher really doesn't take it easy. Like he says, "Oh, hey, we're going to go do this easy part." It's never easy with Tom Asher, okay? Just FYI, right? I mean, you know how it is, right? So, but today you were killing it, and, you know.
Having a blast.
You said, you know, you were doing your environmentalist friendly thing by hugging a tree today.
Yes, I did hug a tree today at the end. Matt's going to misrepresent me terribly. What?
Moi? I would do something like that? No.
See, we got that.
So, yeah, no, that's funny.
And so that was the first. It wasn't meant for that, but I stripped out 2 clutches on it to slip in the clutch because trying to get up things, learning how to ride off-road. And so finally I got a Husqvarna, a little 220-pound Husqvarna 250 FE. But the cool thing was actually learning to ride on a heavier bike like that. You couldn't just, you know, girl handle it. You had to have technique. You had to know what you're doing. You know, you had to learn what you were doing. And so then when I switched over to the little bike, just, you know,
what up? You're just throwing it around.
Yeah, I can pick it up like you can pick up a GS, you know, like one-handed. You know,
which I tried today.
Repeatedly.
I had to pick up a lot of people's bikes today. No offense to the people that were in class, but
God love him.
I had to do a lot of picking up today. So
all for a Corona.
All for a Corona.
All for a Corona.
By the way, Tom hires cheap labor.
Yeah.
So you're doing. So you passed your thing, you bought your bikes, you started, you know, doing the street, you know, highway stuff, got into the dirt bike stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you're traveling to Ushuaia.
So before that, so that is actually, I'll back up a little bit.
Okay,
that was sort of one of the that was the thing that sort of set the whole thing off. So at the same time, we'll get you on a bike kind of thing was somewhere in that time period was also this big dream that my best friend from college had. Was he'd heard somebody else talking about this ride down the Pan American Highway to the bottom of South America, to the city of Ushuaia at the very bottom, Tierra del Fuego, bottom of bottom, you know, kind of thing. And
there's not a lot of people that would do that. There's just not. Like and I'm not. It's not a free spirit thing. At least I don't feel that with you. I feel like this is something that you really like. It's not like this whimsical thing that I just want to do, right? Like you're into this and you enjoy it, and it's a passion of yours. We talked about it being a lifestyle.
Oh,
today,
yes,
right?
Yes, and you put that.